I have to ask because I did read today about this Jared Kushner, Donald Trump wanting to arrange a meeting with you. Is there a room, do you think, for ways to connect? I mean, Donald Trump wanted to meet with you, and let's say he didn't want to talk politics. Is that like, because I do think it's how do we move the conversation further? And one of the things I like about the series you did was you're connecting with people on levels outside of their celebrity, outside of what,
right.
It's their common humanity and their common sort of objectives in many ways.
I think, Dan, one of the challenges, though, is when people don't recognize your common humanity. It's, I think, then impossible because that fundamental asynchrony and asymmetry is just, I don't think you can't kind of find common ground with someone who hates you, either because of your race or your gender or your religion, or because you believe in science or you believe in reality.
Okay.
Right? And so I think, or the people who laughed about the murdered children in Uvalde. Mm-hmm. There's no common ground with laughing about someone's murdered child. So I think it is important, while looking for places to find shared humanity and common ground on which to build and move forward, to not give purchase or permission or sanction to the people who don't actually believe that any of us should have the opportunities that we do because we're women, or don't believe that my children who are half Jewish should have the same opportunities as those who are like white Christians. Right? I think it is equally important to also not attempt to find common humanity with those who by doing so would just degrade my own humanity and make my children more vulnerable and take us further away from the country where I want them and every child to grow up safely, equitably, sustainably.
Yeah, I think a lot about this because when I was in the Senate for 8 years, I was a proud Democrat, across the aisle, proud Republicans. We disagreed on a lot of stuff, but we also did keep struggling to find common ground. And even in the Congress right now, like after the massacre in Uvalde, finally we passed some form of sensible gun safety legislation. Not everything that I would wish, but I gave a lot of credit to both the Democratic and Republican senators who came together and said, this is just unacceptable. We have to keep trying to find some ways to save lives. So even if it's splintered, if people are willing to work in good faith, and in the Senate, there was always another day. So you might not agree today with, Senator X, but tomorrow you and that senator might be exactly in the same place. But even there are some people now who seem to just revel in insults and finger pointing and scapegoating. Thankfully, I
think winning points on Twitter is somehow the same as actually like winning progress for
like
their
something
constituents.
Right. Yeah,
yes.
right. So I think that there are some people with whom it's really difficult. That doesn't mean you don't keep trying where possible. There are some people, though, that are beyond the pale, and I don't think it's, productive. So what we need is to get back to where we have people in public life who, number one, want to get something done that actually helps people, don't feel that their end-all and be-all is, how many clicks they get on social media, but actually what they produce for, their constituents. And that requires a level of political understanding and maturity that I feel like we might be kind of moving toward. After the Supreme Court gave their decision reversing Roe v. Wade, the first example we had of people voting was Kansas, right?
Right.
Not a blue state.
Yeah.
No Democrat has carried it for president since, I think, Lyndon Johnson. But a state where all of a sudden people look around and say, wait a minute, that's not how I feel. That is not my thinking. I don't want to be, part of a state that, makes decisions that are blanket, generalized decisions for every woman under every circumstance it could be. No, we're not going to do that. So what we're seeing are more and more women and young people registering to vote who maybe in the past thought, well, what difference does it make? But now they know it does. So we'll see. I think we're in an interesting period. I don't have any idea what's going to happen in the midterms, but there are some signs that people are taking this election much more seriously than they usually do.
The stakes feel higher.
Yeah.
Yes, the stakes are higher.